Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Are you a business owner who's looking to build credibility, who's looking to make a lasting impression, who's looking to bring value way beyond the sale? This is Ahead for Business, and we're going to be talking about writing and publishing your own book. Have you written a book? Have you thought of one? Is there one that you've put on a computer that's somewhere buried in your house? Is it on a notepad somewhere you never finished it because you thought it just wasn't good enough? Well, we're going to be diving into why each and every business owner should seriously consider having their own book. Joining me is Mr. Al Cini, my friend and mentor, someone with extensive experience in the television industry, but he doesn't have a book quite yet. And we have a very special guest we'll be bringing out in a moment. So how are you without a book?
Well, I am as the guy who is without a book. I mean, I guess that's one way to define me, but thank you very much. I do, this is such an important topic because I really do believe everybody has a story to tell, but most people don't know where to begin in telling it. And that, I think, is maybe an example of that. So it'll be great talking with Dr. Katherine today about how she helps authors tell their story in print. I think the value of an editor, somebody to work with as you're shaping your story, I think that's real value, and it's great to be talking with somebody who can provide that.
Absolutely. Let's bring out our guest and then I'll introduce her. Our guest, welcome, Dr. Katherine Hutchinson-Hayes, is an author, an editor, a podcaster, and she is a business owner where she helps people publish their books. So let's get into it. I love the name, owner of Dressed in Love Press. How did you come up with this, Doctor?
Well, it's my tagline as an author and a speaker. My tagline was dressing in God's love through the spoken and written word. So it just made perfect sense that if I was publishing other people's stuff, that Dressed in Love would be somewhere in that title, because that's what I'm all about.
I think that's great. I read your LinkedIn profile. You've got quite a story to tell yourself. And I guess my question is, as a person who is faith-based, which is pretty clear based on the way you describe yourself. How do you stitch that in with people who want to write a book and need help writing a book, but may not be themselves faith-based? Yeah,
I work with everybody, and on my podcast, we have all people who. What I mean, all people, everyone is welcome. So I've had people who are Muslim, agnostic, atheist, Hindu, you get the picture. And I feel that way about working with everyone. I'm not selective based on your faith. I just like to be a good editor and help people produce good work. So I think operating from a Christian worldview should be from a place of loving others and opening your heart to others. So my work is never just pigeonholed into I have to work with someone who is faith-based. I try to show that I want excellence in writing. So it doesn't matter what faith you are, I'm welcoming. I try to be supportive, whether you're writing fiction, nonfiction, devotionals, children's books, poetry, and memoirs. I feel strongly that people's words have the potential to reach someone at exactly the moment they need them.
Thank you, Doctor. And we are a global platform, so I'm sure that resonates with people all over the world. So
Yeah.
given that this is a business show and the introduction I made about business owners having a book, many times people will think about when they own a business or starting a business, I need a domain name, I need a website, I need business cards, I need all of these things, but they don't think necessarily about having a book. They think about, let me get the business cards and hand them out to as many people as I possibly can. So where does having a book, a published book, really bring value and make a difference for business owners?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I work with quite a few people who own businesses, and their books establish credibility, and it empowers them, and it also gives them another income stream. So if you are a public speaker, and I love to speak publicly, I love to teach and do workshops. And if you are a business owner, you want to establish yourself as an expert in whatever it is that you are doing. You know, if you specialize in HVAC, right? Or you specialize in education, you want to establish yourself as the expert in your field, and it's very niche. And so having a book is a perfect way to leverage yourself above other people who you might be competing with, or even just showing potential clients that you truly are a professional and an expert in your field.
I think that's important. And, you know, how tall does somebody need to be to ride this ride? And the reason why I'm asking that is I've worked with and talked to developmental editors, people who help people write books. Mm-hmm. And often what you get from a prospective author is essentially a big bag of words. How do you handle that? How do you work with somebody who has something important to say but just doesn't know how to go about it?
Yeah, okay, this might be weird, but it's sort of fun to me to take, like you said, the big bag of words and to mold it. And I'm an artist also. I actually teach art today. But in sculpting, you know, you have this big block of clay, and let's say you're doing a bust of someone, like from the shoulder and the head, right? As you start forming it, you can see that it's the head, you can see the shoulders, but it's not defined. You can't tell who the person is. That is exactly what content and developmental editing is. You take that form and you chisel it so that that person's voice is shining, it's unique, it's individual, and they're getting to say exactly what they wanted to say. Because a lot of times the words that are in our heads, when they get out on paper, people don't quite understand. We understand because we wrote it and we fill in the blanks that might be missing. But an editor comes in and says, hey, we can't get into your head. I think what you meant to do was say this, right? And this is not making sense. And there's a plot hole here. And so that editor comes in and they're able to take that clay and truly form it and make it distinctive.
Yeah, I can picture that. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about some of the things people have told me over the years when it comes to writing books, especially business owners. I'm so busy, which, by the way, to me is a 4-letter word, busy. I'm so busy, I don't have time to do this. And if I do it, it's got to be perfect. And I've tried to explain, no, it doesn't have to be perfect. And you're telling information that is through your story, your journey. It's already in there. It's just a matter of getting it out there. Mm-hmm. So, Dr. Katherine, how do you work with people to get them to express themselves?
Yeah, so the biggest thing is to have deadlines, to have a calendar. I just taught a class. I just came back from a conference where I taught a class from idea to manuscript. And we had a concrete worksheet, and we were working out, the outline. And I told them there's such power in an outline. I found that out when I did my doctoral dissertation You could probably understand that, Dr. Jacalyn. But for your dissertation, you had to have an outline. The outline was just everything. It was the skeleton of your book, because that's pretty much what a dissertation is. And the same principle applies to anything that you're writing. It must have a skeleton, and that skeleton is going to uphold the body of the work. And it has to be really strong, and it has to be concise. And then, so once you're done with that, you have to have timelines. If you don't plan it, it doesn't happen. It is important to be realistic and say, okay, what genre am I working in? Am I going to produce, I don't know, romantic suspense? Romantic suspense, it doesn't have to be more than 60,000 words. Okay, can I write 10,000 words a month? Maybe not. I'm a mom, or I work full time, or I'm both a mom and I work full time, or I'm a stay-home mom, but I've got a bunch of children in diapers. No matter where you are, from, retired, single, house full of kids, working full time, stay home, it doesn't matter. We're all busy, right? And if we don't plan it, it doesn't happen. So any stage of the journey, you must have an outline, you must have a plan, and you must follow through on that plan.
Do most of the people you work with, Dr. Katherine, write nonfiction, or do you ever work with fiction writers?
Oh yeah, I work with a ton of fiction. It is more difficult, but it is a ton of fun when you help to produce a great fiction book.
Dr. Katherine, what I'm wondering is, sometimes people will think to themselves, you know what I'm writing is going to be a New York Times bestseller. Yes, I am going to make the list, and I am going to make a fortune, and I'm going to travel the world. What are your thoughts? You're laughing about this. What are your thoughts?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm trying not to roll around on the floor hysterically right now. Yeah, so that's one of the first things I have, talks that I have with our authors. I'm really transparent. I'm like, don't quit your job, your day job. Please don't do it. Your day job is going to help feed you, pay your bills. Your writing life is going to be the icing on the cake. And yes, I don't want to dash anybody's dreams. Can some people actually survive on writing full time? Yes, I actually know a few people, but it fluctuates between 1% and 10% of all writers. It's not a lot of people. And because of the changing landscape of the publishing industry, it is actually more difficult to make money the way you would like to make money. By the time a $20 book is sold, and the author and publishing company are compensated if you're working with a publisher. And if you're working with an agent like I am, it gets divided a lot of different ways. By the time you sell a $20 book, but it gets to be about $1 to $2 that author has to split between themselves, the publisher, and their agent. So, it's like pennies on the dollar for a book. When people sell millions of books, it doesn't necessarily mean they're making millions of dollars, because of how many ways that money, that compensation has to be split with all different people. So by the time the money gets to the author, it's not a lot. And it's really important for you also not to just focus on just writing that one book, knowing that it might be your second, your third, your fourth, your fifth book that actually brings attention to you, and then people are looking at your backlist. One of the most humbling talks I listened to was at a conference called Write to Publish, and I got a chance to hear Jerry B. Jenkins speak, and actually I got to privately talk to him. But he said he had been working full time in a whole different industry, and he would write from 9 p.m. when his children went to bed and he had dinner with them and all that till midnight. And he would do that like Monday through Friday. And through doing that, he wrote about 160 books. it wasn't until like his 165th book that he was able to leave his day job and be able to write full time. And he's the one who wrote the Left Behind series. His son wrote The Chosen. And so he's very well established and known, but that was humbling. I was like, 165 books. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a huge number to get to actually be able to not have to work full time in another profession.
That's, as you were speaking, I was thinking that I think it's important for people to realize that if they're going to write a book, if they're going to take this on, and it's very valuable, they need to work with somebody who knows what they're doing and works with them in a way that keeps them motivated and on track. And that's where you come in.
Yeah.
But they need to realize that the book, when it's finished, is part of what they present to the professional world. It's not necessarily the only product. It's the answer to the question, who am I working with?
Yes.
So, I mean, this book becomes a way of introducing yourself to people who might use you for whatever it is you do for a living. But my question, my ahead for business question is that sometimes people just get exhausted trying to do something like this.
Yeah.
You can't just say, but part of it is I needed a chapter by Friday. Where's my chapter?
Yeah.
But another part of it is, how do you inspire somebody to write that chapter that they're having difficulty delivering to you?
Oh, that's such a good question. I am gifted at encouragement and gifted at seeing the best in people. And I love that. And I think a lot of that has to do with my educational background. I come out of a long background of education. I was a principal for a very long time, and I segued into publishing. And I just saw where children just really flourished when you praised them and you looked for the best in them. So I look for the best in an author, and I encourage them, because the fact of the matter is authors have a lot of rejection. They're rejected. I get rejections all the time. I get rejections where I'm like, I don't even remember submitting to this magazine, but okay, out for the course. But that happens to a lot of authors. They get rejections, and then many authors struggle with imposter syndrome. They struggle with defeat and giving up. So lots of people who start out writing a book never finish. And I'm really glad that you brought that up. It's really important for you to work with someone who is an encourager and does see the best in you, not someone who is giving you false hope and filling your head up with compliments that you don't deserve, but someone who can really look at the things that you're good at and pull that out and allow that author to also grow and flourish, but also see, oh, okay, I'm good at I'm good at being funny. It's really difficult to make people laugh on the page, right? I'm okay, so I can I'm gonna lean into that. Or I'm really good at describing things, or I'm really good at explaining. So it's really vital for whoever you're working with to be an encourager and to see the best in you, because we have way too much coming against us to not have that kind of person in our corner.
That is so true. There's so much negativity. Let's not buy into it. My question is, in the beginning, when I introed the show, I was talking about a book for business owners. But when you think about an author is also a business person, should they choose to accept that.
Yes.
And much of what that involves is visibility. That means a website. It means doing shows like this. It means being on your podcast. But that takes a mind shift sometimes, because people will think, well, I wrote this book, but I don't want to get out there and talk about it. So what do you say to your clients who fear visibility?
Oh, this is such a juicy question. Earlier, I was talking about how myself and my project manager, we sit with our authors if we've accepted them and offered them a contract. And we talk a lot about the reality of the publishing industry. I have an addendum where I break down how much you actually make and how many books you need to sell to make a profit. And it's based on genre and word count and all the things. But the other thing that we work on is visibility, just like you talked about. We've said you are now a business owner, okay? And when you're an author, you own your little world. So you have got to be professional. You have to have a professional website. That's why we have a brand expert that we work with, and she combs through their website and says, no, that, you know, the 80s call, they want their website back. And so you've got to have something that's professional, that speaks to the culture, that's up to date. And in addition to that, it's important for you to be active on social media. One of the best examples I can see is one of my authors. When she started, she had a small website. She wasn't very engaged with it and had Facebook. Well, now, and she's in her 70s. Okay, she's doing reels. She is she's on Instagram. She is on Facebook Live. She is all over the place with podcasts and doing she's doing magazine articles and features, and she's doing book signings. And I mean, I can barely keep up with her, but her platform exploded. And what happened is it translated into sales. And so people keep on seeing her everywhere, and they're having that brand identification and that visibility. And now they are really interested in what she has to say.
That's
Congratulations to you and your client. That's exciting.
It's really exciting. And, you know, I think these are little details that a lot of people don't think about. They think, I really need to write a book. And they kind of imagine that between that decision and the actual book, I know there's going to be a lot of time. I'm going to have to actually write the book. I know I'm going to have to do that. But I don't really pay very much attention to what I'm going to be doing at the end of it to sell the book and promote the book. And I want to get into the commercial aspect of it, because I know that people who work with you also pay you. And maybe you can give prospective authors out there some kind of an idea what the budget for that is like and how that works.
Yeah. Well, we are traditional press, so we do not charge our authors to publish with us. What we do charge for are things like editing, professional editing. An offshoot of my publishing company is an editing branch. So sometimes people come to us and their books, they have a good idea that could be published traditionally, but it needs a lot of work. And I don't know if people understand this, but publishers are not there to edit your ugly baby. Okay, they're not there to make your baby pretty. They're there to get the best that you have to have. So my recommendation to anyone seeking publication is to make sure that before you pitch your book to a publisher, make sure that it's professionally edited. If you are interested in working with us as editors, then even better. We do charge for it, and we're really transparent about our prices. It depends on the word count, and it depends on the genre. It depends on the level of editing that you need. So I would say, if you are realistically, let's say you have a 60,000 word project that needs some grammatical correction, that needs a little flyover for content editing, are you looking at $800 to $1,000 to do that, right? And if you are looking for a major overhaul and editing for, say, the 90,000 word project, then you're looking at between $1,500 to $2,000 to have that book professionally edited.
Certainly fair. Absolutely fair numbers. I recently was speaking at a conference the weekend before last, and I got this question, and a person said, well, I wrote my first book and I used AI to write the whole thing. And I just looked at him and I said, did you put your name on it? And he said, well, I wrote it. And I said, well, you actually didn't write it. So if you feel okay with knowing that someone else wrote your book and you put your name on it, then I can't answer that for you. So my question to you is, we're actually also bringing in the faith part of it, right? Is putting your name on work that is not yours. So if you're an author and you're using AI to write the whole thing, what are your thoughts about that, Doctor?
That's such a tough one. I love AI. Don't get me wrong. I think that you can use it for your virtual assistant. There's so many things that you can use AI for, but don't use it to write your book. Because like you said, doctor, you're not really writing it. What AI does, it's programmed to just go out and basically steal from a whole bunch of other people. So any of us who are actually published, we don't know. AI is trained on actual writers, and some of these programmers have actually been sued by a ton of authors because they're using their books to train a model on how to write. And what it does is it pirates and steals your work, and you're not really creating anything original. We are too smart. We have too much to offer to depend on a computer or a program to write for us, and understand it's not really you. You're really stealing from a bunch of other people who it's really wrong. The other issue is I'm an illustrator, right? So for our children's books, when you have AI doing all of the artwork and all of that, it's actually pulling from other artists and stealing their work and putting it together in a way where it looks like it's you, but you're really faking it. So don't use AI to actually write your work. You're smarter than that. You have the gifts and the talent that God gave you, and you don't need to do that.
Thank you for that. Yeah, AI is a great tool. We can use AI for a lot of things, but that doesn't replace humans. It doesn't replace us and the thoughts that we have and the experiences that we have.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Jack Bauer, James Bond, Jason Bourne, Jack Ryan are the same guy. I mean, they really are the same guy. I mean, they're different situations, different periods in history, different complications. It's not necessarily theft because you got an idea from somebody. No. I mean, it really isn't. Whether you got that idea from AI or another writer, that doesn't mean you're stealing their work. You're creating an original piece of work that's similar to their work, but it's not theft. And I'm so glad you brought this up, Dr. Jacalyn, because everybody thinks that, and I really appreciate the way Dr. Katherine handled that question. AI is not a monster in the dark waiting to kill you. I mean, a lot of people are terrified of it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are terrified of it, but it can be very helpful, but it shouldn't replace you, and you shouldn't ask it to replace you.
Yeah.
And I think that, sure, I can ask that book that you want me to write. I guess I could ask Copilot to write it for me. Copilot certainly knows enough about me now to be able to take a pretty good shot at it. But I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would, but as I was advancing it, I might run it by Copilot to see what Copilot thinks. But that isn't necessarily, I'm not abdicating my responsibility to produce the content. And I think, but then again, by the same token, I can't use AI to replace Dr. Katherine. I need a human developmental editor to work with me in developing my content, not a machine. I need a human being, because that human connection is critical to producing content that people want to read.
Yeah. So you have a mix of authors who are just embracing AI and they're using it to write everything, which is not really original. It's not original at all. And then you have authors who are so terrified of AI, and I'm like, it's just another tool. And we've actually been using AI for a lot longer than we think. Grammarly, spell checks, those are all forms of AI. Their AI is so deeply embedded in our everyday lives, we don't realize how much we depend on it. And so, no, use it for what it's supposed to be. It's a tool. It's supposed to make your life easier. It can help you. It can help you bounce ideas back and forth specific to your genre, because every genre is a recipe. It's a special recipe. And I love that you said these are all the same characters. That's what genres are, right? It's a speculative fantasy is going to be a different recipe from a romantic suspense. Romantic suspense is going to be a much different recipe for a memoir or a devotional or a self-help book about, how to get married in 3 weeks. I don't know. but it's all a very different recipe, and you do want to follow the recipe. And so you look at what other people have going on. Okay, James Patterson has this going on. He writes suspense. Okay, all right. So this Karen Slaughter writes really scary thrillers. Okay, so this is her recipe. This is how she did it. You're not stealing, but you're looking at their artistry and you're saying, okay, that's how they put their recipe together. All right, mine's going to be something like it, but I have a different background. I have some different ideas about how to put this together. And then you create your unique book.
Doctor, absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about you as a business owner and what that trajectory, what your journey has looked like. So when did you actually decide to go into the publishing business?
Well, that was about 18 years ago. I had my last baby, and my husband was deployed all the time. And instead of going back to the principalship, I began digging into writing. My husband built me a little office in our laundry room / cat litter box room. And it was the little springboard desk that he put up for me. And I was quite proud of my little office. And I began doing what I knew. And I knew curriculum. So I would write curriculum for different programs, like homeschool programs, church programs. I did a lot of work for Protestant Women of the Chapel, which is an interfaith group on military bases. And I would write programs. I would write curriculum for them. And then I segued into editing. And then I segued into writing my own books. And then I segued into freelancing for traditional publishers as a production editor. And then I worked with a literary agency as a production editor. And my knowledge of the industry just continued to grow and grow. And finally, and this was last year, I thought, I've been working in this industry for quite a while now, and I certainly know how to put a good book together. I know how to do covers because I'm an artist and I have a good eye. What could be so hard about just starting a publishing company? Which is pretty hilarious because it is really hard. It's a lot of work. You have to have a business plan. You need to have an LLC or S corporation, however you're going to do your business. Really important to have a lawyer behind you to make sure that your ducks are in a row and your business is protected. And also to have good programs in order to manage your finances and make sure that everything is set to go regarding the IRS. You don't want to mess with the IRS or the legal world. So you need to make sure everything is up to snuff there. And then to also have a manageable way of executing what it is that you're trying to do in your business. And so with me, I started with a skeleton staff, and having a project manager was such a blessing and such a wise investment. And then having the security, like I said earlier on, of making sure that you have a lawyer and he's vetting your contracts and things of that nature. And then to have really good support people around you. I have great formatters. It's dangerous to think that you can do everything yourself. I'm a Jamaican, right? My family's Jamaican, so we do like to have a lot of jobs, and we like to do everything ourselves, and that's dangerous. And just because you know how to do everything doesn't mean you should. You need to concentrate on the big picture and the vision of your company and the overall management of it. But it's important to have good people in doing the work that you would be too stretched to do, so that you can manage your life in a productive way. Because it shouldn't always be just about your business. You should live a whole life with, times of relaxation, times with your family, having an outlet. I strongly believe in exercise, things of that nature.
So people out there who might be saying, well, I'm just an accountant, or I'm just an engineer, or I'm just a salesperson. Where's the book? And, what is it I'm looking to write? I mean, how do you help somebody find that book that explains how they're different from all the other accountants in the world, or maybe different from all the other salespeople?
Well, everybody has a unique spin. We all have our unique handprint. And yes, there may be tons of accountants out there, but it doesn't mean that what you have to say should be minimized. So, because you're unique because of your lived experiences, right? And your background. Even your ethnicity can come into play. Let's say, for instance, I was talking to you earlier about our AC being worked on earlier today. But the guy who's working on our AC is an Israeli soldier, former soldier, and he was showing my husband all the scars he had from the battles that he engaged in. I mean, significant scars. Talked about being in a wheelchair for 7 months, and how he learned so much about people and who stayed in his life and who left. Now, you might say, what does that have to do with AC, right? He could write a book about having a successful air conditioning business, and then he could say, I'm going to liken this AC business to my survival in the Army, and here are 5 tactics on the battlefield that I learned that can apply to your business. Being situationally aware, having battle buddies, which is being in community, being with other people who also do the same thing, that own AC businesses, making sure that you have a way, you planned an escape, having a backup plan, having a will. So he could have all of those lived experiences plus his professional experience that he uses to make a living, and he could take that and make a very unique book, right? Nobody else can write his story, and that's what we all have to understand, because I hear that often. Oh man, there's so many books on this, or there's so many books on that, but it's not from you, and you can never negate your own lived experiences, because people connect with who you are. Facts inform, but stories transform. So anything that you write, whether it's self-help, whether it's a business book about ACs and thriving in that business, your personal story behind all of that help to transform people and help them to lean into the factual stuff that you're teaching as well. So every page carries a possibility of impacting another human being.
It's funny, Doctor, when you were talking.
Wait a minute. I'm writing all this down.
Okay. When you were talking, Doctor, I found myself thinking, that's a book that I would buy. I think that's very interesting. And I think also what comes with writing a book is doing keynotes. It's doing a podcast with you. It's doing a TV show here with us. And all of a sudden, an entire new audience gets to know about your work and your book. And I'd love to close out by sharing, what does it do for the actual person, the human being who gets to tell their story? That to me is the true breakthrough. It's not just about the book, but it's being able to impact other people's lives. What do you think?
Oh, absolutely. When I began writing and then helping other authors, I discovered that every single book carries purpose. And that realization changed everything. It taught me that writing is not simply about selling books, it's also about serving people. And though the writing journey isn't easy, right? There's so many periods of doubt, and there are edits and deadlines, and it feels impossible to finish. You can continue even when the path becomes difficult, and every challenge reinforce something that's a powerful truth. God doesn't call the qualified, he qualifies the called. Every obstacle becomes preparation. Every setback becomes a lesson. Every opportunity becomes a stepping stone. The key is to remain faithful to the assignment.
I love that. I've never heard that before. That's beautiful. I can see why you're an excellent keynote speaker as well.
Absolutely.
Dr. Katherine, for people who want to work with you, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Yeah, my website is a landing page where you have everything, all my contacts. I'm very active on social media. And I also have my direct email for the publishing company, which is dressedinlovepress@gmail.com. And my website is my name. It's Dr. Katherine Hayes. I cut out the Hutchinson to make it a little easier for people so they're not typing for hours. But that's how you can contact me. I absolutely love engaging with authors. It's my favorite thing to do. I'd love to make your story come alive.
Thank you so much for being here today. I've learned a lot, and I hope that you come and visit us on one of our other programs.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This has been so much fun. You guys were absolutely delightful.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed meeting you as well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mr. Cini, do you have a book coming now?
Yeah, I do. It was such a great conversation for me for all those reasons. I mean, it was one of the greatest points I think I heard is that there's a story really in everybody. And no matter how ordinary you feel your life might be or your profession might be, there's something different about you that's worth writing about. And I think the secret really is to work with a human being like Dr. Katherine, who can help you mine that story out of the bag of words you have floating around in your head. You know, somewhere in there, there's a story to tell. And I think that, for me anyway, that was the key takeaway in that conversation.
I agree with you. Al, tell us about the work that you do and who you can help.
Well, if I were to write a book about it, just a thought, if I were to write a book about it, it would be a book about how when people are properly motivated and inspired, they can come together and do amazing, surprisingly wonderful things. And that whole idea that there's an Einstein quote that the really beautiful and inspiring work is done by people who can labor in freedom. When we're trying to get people to do something, we tend to focus on deadlines and rigor and structure and clarity, and that's all important. But often in between the lines, there are amazing breakthroughs that make the difference between getting a consistent, predictable, mediocre result and a truly spectacular, exceptional, wonderful result. And if you're willing to take the risk and willing to invest the time, I think that second course produces really terrific results. And you know, I think if I were to write the book, it would be to write a book about how people, when they work together, can catch fire in ways that surprise the managers. I mean, shock them sometimes with how high quality the results are. And what we try to do is make that a reliable, repeatable process with ProFit for Teams. So thanks for asking, Dr. Jacalyn.
For people who'll be listening to this later on a podcast platform and they can't see the screen, what's the best way for people to reach out?
Call me at 212-480-3730 or send me an email at al@pro-fit4teams.com.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cini. I look forward to seeing you for our next show.
I'm looking forward to it myself. Talk to you soon.
If you are a business owner or you're someone who's producing content, why not consider distributing it on USA Global TV and Radio, where we've already earned the YouTube Silver Creator Award for over 100,000 subscribers on just one of our channels. We're also distributing content in German and in French, and always looking for people who have other languages. So let's take a look at this clip. If you already have content or you would like us to distribute it, we're here to help. We provide training and coaching. People are searching for experts every day. Are they finding you, or are they finding someone else? Every day, professionals are building authority through media. We've already built the platform. USA Global TV and Radio. Over 14,000 shows streamed to over 60 countries. This isn't about becoming famous. It's about leverage, visibility, credibility, opportunity. One interview, one conversation, one show, repurposed into content, connection, and business growth. Most people assume hosting a TV show requires a studio, a production team, and a massive budget. Our television packages begin at $1,500 US per month. Professional production, global distribution, replay visibility, built for voices with something to say. I'm Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and if this resonates with you, we should talk. USA Global TV and Radio, all rights reserved. Contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com.
How much of your value have you been giving away? Saying yes when the answer should have been no? Lowering your price to secure the opportunity? Giving more while receiving less? Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.